In this video, we're going to look at how you can answer a very popular question asked on every job interview, and that is, tell me more about yourself. Also, if you stick until the end of this video, we're going to answer another popular question. My name is Z, this is Fearless Dreams, and let's do it! Intro. What is going on, everybody? My name is Z and I'm here with Radi, my dear friend who is a recruiter and very experienced one with a lot of experience in LinkedIn, Airbnb, and now she's actually having her own business, consultancy and recruitment related. And today we're looking at something very crucial for every job interview, and that is the question, tell me more about yourself. Not many people like this question, but you still have to be prepared for it. And today, Radi will share with us a little bit more details on what recruiters expect and what are good answers to this question.
Awesome.
So, yeah, Radi, what do you think? Like, do you really ask those questions?
Totally. I think that's one of the first questions I ask after an icebreaker, obviously. The reason for that is because I firmly believe that this question can give you a lot of answers. It's not just your professional experience. I also want to learn about your overall story. And one thing that I would always advise each and every candidate is think about what your story is. Of course, it has to be focused predominantly on your professional career. However, things like moving abroad, living in another country, these are personal choices that are impacting your career. So you should talk about this stuff. You should talk about your education. You should talk about your choices overall, the companies you've worked in. But think about it as a short introduction to your life. So it shouldn't be way too long. It should be not more than 2 to 3 minutes, depending on the time you have with the recruiter. But I personally do like this question. It shows your communication style, what is important to you. It shows also fluency in the language, especially if it's in English or in any other language. So it really showcases your dictionary, your vocabulary as well. So I personally feel it's a nice question to ask.
Okay, and for example, a lot of people, when they say, tell me more about yourself, they are going to tell you their life story, for example. And it could take a while, but as you said, we should stick to 2 or 3 minutes. But out of this, let's say, initial presentation, how much should be personal stuff, like what's going on in your life, and how much it should be the professional stuff, like your experience?
In the end of the day, you have to remember this is a professional interview for a job. So I'd say place the focus mainly on your career. If you are a junior specialist without much of experience, you can of course talk about your education, different courses, projects that you participated in, even volunteering experience, or just living abroad, taking a year on Erasmus program and studying, let's say, a semester abroad. I personally feel that this is also an experience. It's a cultural one. So you should always have a balance between the personal stuff that you reveal. So obviously don't talk about astrology and your preferences in terms of football or any other sports, obviously.
Unless
But
you're, applying for a coach.
obviously, but definitely speak a lot about your career choices. One thing that I would say, no matter how you answer, is don't start with, hi, I'm Radina, I'm 31, I am originally from Spain.
And
Obviously,
I'm an alcoholic, for example.
obviously the recruiter has already seen your resume, so make sure you just jump into what you have been doing. So let's say start with something in the likes of, I have 5 years of experience in sales and marketing, working for companies X, Y, and Z in these specific roles. What I've learned in the past years was A, B, C. And I feel I've learned a lot, particularly in this and this domain. I've studied abroad, I've lived abroad. That's it. So literally 2 to 3 minutes max.
And talking about the experience, that's like highlighting what you have done. Do you also mention like key achievements, or this could sound cocky?
That's a very good topic, actually. And again, in the end of the day, it is important to appear confident and trustworthy. So person who is honest about their experience and their achievements. But if you put the focus only on the I've done that, I've achieved that, you are absolutely right. You might appear overly confident. So it could be the case that you want to share one or two key facts, let's say an award that you have received, or let's say I feel proud because I combined my studies and my full-time job. That's absolutely fine. I think that's a great achievement to have and to be proud of. But do not put the focus so that you try to sell yourself way too hard. You know what I mean? The most important thing is that you sound genuine and authentic, that you haven't rehearsed this story. And as you said, it shouldn't be like your life story. It should be a nice introduction to your career to date.
Okay, and building up on this, what about the skills? So, for example, if I have taken certification in different fields, or in programming, or in project management, or I have different language skills, like 2 or 3 foreign languages, those are things that for me could be very important. But do I also emphasize on this during answering this question?
Absolutely, but it really depends what kind of wording you choose. If you just start saying, I have certificate in this and this and this, and I have obtained a degree in this and this, it sounds a bit rehearsed, a bit fake, a bit artificial. If you implement it in a story that you're telling, let's say I decided to study business and management, then I decided to pursue a career in Spain so that I can learn Spanish as a language. So if you implement it nicely and it makes sense and it's relevant, obviously, to the field that you are exploring, that is absolutely great. But let's say if your previous career was in hospitality and now you're talking to an employer in, let's say, the tech industry, if all of your story is only on the hospitality piece, the recruiter or the hiring manager might not really feel that it's relevant. I mean, it is your career, but you've placed the focus way too much on something that is way in the past, if you know what I mean.
Okay, and building up on this again, because it's very, very interesting for me. Do you include personal stuff, like I have 2 cats and a dog and stuff like this?
Well, it really depends. I mean, I wouldn't advise you, again, as I said earlier, I wouldn't advise you to place the focus on something that might not be completely relevant. Let's say how many siblings you have, or the cats and the dogs and all the hobbies and interests that you have.
Too
bad. But you can if you decide, if you feel that this is something you want to share, you can say to the recruiter that you were born and raised in this country, but then you decided to move with your family or with your significant other to another country or another organization, or it was a personal choice that you've decided to leave certain company. You can basically implement that. However, I wouldn't say really focus too much on that.
Right, yeah, yes. Don't talk about dogs and cats for 5 minutes.
Unless you are applying for a dog walker or something like that, right. You never know.
That makes sense. So always keep in mind the position that you're applying for. Yeah. I would also add on my side that it always makes a good impression, whatever the answer to this question is, if you just sound positive, not like a robot. And as Radi said, like you have rehearsed this hundreds of times and you're like, I'm working on this and this position and so on. Sound a little bit, exciting, a little bit more like I'm into this. I like what I've done. I'm proud of it. I'm not like, over the board, but like a natural way.
Precisely. Yeah, I think that's very critical, regardless of whether it's on the phone or on video or face to face. People want to see that you're genuine about your career, that you've made these choices with all your mind and heart. A lot of people say, tell me about yourself is purely professional career. Right. No, I want to hire humans. I want to hire individuals who have strong personality, who stand behind their choices and their decisions, and that I can learn from. So I don't want only your career today, the past 5 years in facts and figures, because that's dry. I want to engage with you on a personal level as well.
Okay, that's great. And before we go to the other question that we want to kind of dissect for a little bit, How would you answer you personally? Let's say you're applying for a position of based on your experience for, let's say, a recruitment director for a company. And they ask you this question. Let's give our audience a live example of this question. Like, I'm the CEO of the company, I'm trying to hire you, and I ask you this question. Tell me more about
I
yourself.
love being put on the spot. Right, yeah, I mean, as I said, I wouldn't start with introducing myself because I would expect that
No.
CEO has seen my resume.
She's getting too professional.
I am getting some time as well.
Yeah. Just give us the answer. Like, try it. Like, how would you respond to this personally?
I would say something in the likes of in the past 9 years, I've had the chance to work in different organizations, particularly in the talent acquisition field. Why I decided so? I studied psychology and I felt that this is something that I personally enjoy. I feel grateful for the opportunity to work with people and I've always liked the interaction. So it was the logical choice for me to pursue career in human resources. I've been an in-house recruiter working with organizations such as LinkedIn and Airbnb in Ireland, and I've also worked as an agency recruiter because I wanted to see the other side. So I feel that my experience, professionally speaking, is a combination of different views from recruitment standpoint. So how to see things from external point of view and then internal point of view, working with variety of teams. It was my personal choice to move to Ireland and then move to Singapore. Then I decided to move back to Ireland for one reason or another, which gave me the opportunity to work with different cultures.
Right.
So I feel that overall, my experience in the past 9 years is relevant to this opportunity because I feel that I can contribute a lot having this diverse background.
I think I'm gonna hire her.
That was less than 2 minutes. And it was definitely being put on the spot. But I feel, again, talking about your personal choices moving abroad, talking even about the mistakes you've made. For example, I didn't say right now that I went to Singapore and I said I decided to come back,
Right.
but you can share things that were challenging for you, difficult moments, learning curves, because it's not only perfection, it's not
Right.
only success stories. We actually learn a lot more when we are confronted in a difficult, challenging situation with other people or on our own. So I think it's important to reveal a bit more of your personality along the way.
Great. Thank you. That was actually quite a good answer, I would have to say.
Reversed.
Yeah. Okay. So the extra question for our audience. I've seen this quite often. I don't personally like asking this question as a hiring manager, but there's one type of question that pretty much all companies at some point ask. And this is how you see yourself in 5 years or the different types of
variations of that,
yeah.
career aspirations, or what do you want to achieve in 2 years' time. I think
Exactly.
the reason why people still ask this question is because they want just to hire individuals with direction, individuals that are decisive, that have chosen a path and will stick to it. So they presume, and I'm using this word on purpose, they presume that if the person answers in the best possible way and have a clear plan about their career, then they'll tick all of the boxes and they'll be loyal and they'll stay and they'll be reliable. I think that this is quite challenging, to be honest. It's challenging to answer on the other side, and it's challenging to assess someone based on their plans for the future, because we live in a very dynamic era. Everything changes so rapidly. I wouldn't expect myself to have a clear path for the next 5 years. I might have an idea what I want to achieve, but I'll be much more flexible. So if I ask this question, I would focus on the next 1 year or maximum 2 years, because that's much more clear way to understand what you want to achieve. Or I will direct it a bit more to this role. I would say, how would this role fit in your career plans? So that I can understand better. And that's again tip for recruiters. If any recruiters are watching us today, make sure you align this question more to the role that you're hiring for, because this will actually showcase that the individual has thought about putting themselves into the position of this professional. So now to switch back to answering this question, I'd say, again, for 100 times, I'm saying that be honest, be yourself. You can absolutely share, listen, I haven't built a firm 5-year plan that I'm going to stick to. However, based on my potential, my goals, my ambitions, my path so far, I am planning to do, let's say, a course in marketing, or I'm planning to go back to education and pursue a master's degree, or I'm planning in the next 2 years to develop my leadership skills. Work with more junior professionals and then step in the shoes of a team lead or a manager. So you're speaking actually not so much more about who you are in 5 years, but what is the path to success. I believe that if we can put an A+ on an answer, I think that'll be it.
Wow, that's actually, I haven't thought about this, to be honest. I always think this is an annoying question, like, and my answer would be something like, I want to become, I don't know, a manager or a CEO, or have 5 kids and get married and so on. So I've always seen this question as a minus that I even have to answer it. But
True, yeah.
the way you put it, it kind of, you can create it as, you can turn it around.
Precisely.
And give an answer that will actually even impress the other side, and at the same time not say something that it's, could not be even relevant in 5 years. But
precisely, yeah, and that's the thing. When you're asked question, you put yourself into a frame of mind. I have to answer, and I have to give them the answer that they want to hear. However, if you challenge the process and if you actually reply in a way they haven't thought about, that's much more impressive, much more impactful for your application. Not just answer in the exact way that they're expecting you to answer. As you said, in 5 years I'm going to be a manager, just because you think they want to hire the next CEO.
Right.
Or for a woman, for example, and I know I'm not putting now labels on female and male candidates, but as a woman, what has happened to me earlier in my career is I was always thinking, okay, in 5 years' time, I want to become a parent. I want to have kids. Should I say that on a job interview? Should I focus more on I want to be a manager, even though I'm not sure I want to be a manager? That means you're not truthful to yourself, to your own values and what's important to you. So just think about it from a different perspective. Talk about what you want to accomplish along the way. Think about it as a path towards the end goal, whether it's a manager, whether it's owner of a business, whether it's just being stay-at-home parent. Like, if that's something that is important to you, you can totally say it. If the other person completely ignores that and there is no answer, then you might not want to work there.
Yeah, actually, it might not be the right fit for you. That's also an option. So don't just say things that the other side will like you. Just be yourself, and your place in your employer, your future employer, will kind of find themselves, and you'll be able to work for the best place, and not just for the place that you answered the best to some questions.
Absolutely agree with what you said. Yeah.
Okay, Radi, thank you one more time. I think these videos were very helpful and very cool to make, of course. Thank you for helping me out with the answers, and I wish you all the best in your new endeavors. If you want to connect with Radi, I'll just link her LinkedIn profile and her business below. And make sure you get in touch with her. She doesn't charge that much, don't worry. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, Z. Good luck, everyone. Bye-bye.
Ciao. We crushed it.